I want to go straight to John Roberts, who's at that NRA convention in Louisville. John, usually the NRA does not endorse a candidate this early. Why now for Trump?
That is true, and in fact, if you look back at 2012, 2008, and 2004, the NRA did not endorse their president until October. I mean, even George Bush, who was president running as an incumbent, they didn't endorse until October. In 2000, they didn't endorse him at all, but that was more of a strategic decision. Didn't want to give the Gore campaign anything else to talk about. But they also did not endorse Bob Dole in 1996, and they did not endorse George H.W. Bush in 1992, even though they did endorse him in 1988. So that's a long way of getting around to why are they doing it so early this time. It just shows how much they think is riding on this election. They do believe that Hillary Clinton, because she is on record as saying this, is going to try to implement new gun legislation, more gun controls, but more importantly than that, because the president can propose and Congress can write, but very often anything that runs afoul of the Constitution will be overturned by the Supreme Court. They are very concerned in this room and across the nation, NRA members, that Hillary Clinton will appoint at least one, if not more, Supreme Court justices who will uphold her attempts to turn back the provisions of the Second Amendment. Donald Trump, upon receiving the endorsement of the NRA today, said he will do his best to uphold the Second Amendment. Here's Trump.
Hillary Clinton wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Just remember that. We're not talking about change it. She wants to abolish the Second Amendment. So we're not going to let that happen. I can tell you that right now. We're going to preserve it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to take care of it.
Now, it is an interesting change because back in 2000, Donald Trump was a supporter of the assault weapons ban. He also was a supporter of longer waiting times for firearm purchases. And in 2012, after that horrible shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, Donald Trump tweeted out after President Obama spoke that the president speaks for everyone, including me, with his remarks about the Newtown shooting. So clearly, there has been a meeting of the minds here, even though many people that we talk to here still are looking with a little bit of skepticism at Donald Trump, thinking that what he said in the past is different than what he said now. How will he be in the future? Harris?
All right. I want you to give us, if you can, a little bit of color of what's going on in the room, because as people were watching, if they weren't quite certain who was in that audience or about the sign behind Donald Trump, this went far afield from NRA and gun debate topics. This went on to, as you just alluded to, the Supreme Court nomination and who the names might be for Republicans and Democrats, and that was tied to NRA, but then on to building a wall. He came up, I thought I heard at one point Donald Trump call Hillary Clinton a new nickname, Heartless Hillary, and then he said, no, I may go back to Crooked Hillary, and then it widened out. He talked about his poll numbers, and it kept on and on from there. Talk to me about the response to him in that room on these other topics.
Well, clearly, Harris, this was not just an address to the National Rifle Association. This was a presidential stump speech. You know, every time I talk to people who Donald Trump goes to meet, they always say, you know, he talked to us at length about the states that he'd won and what the poll numbers were and what the margins were. It's just, this is what he does. Every place he goes, he'll talk about some of the issues at hand, but then he always goes back to, I'm winning big, and here's how I won here, and here's what I did in West Virginia. But the crowd really did eat it up. And I was talking with an official from the NRA a short time ago who told me that, you know, in 2008 and 2012, there just wasn't a lot of enthusiasm for either John McCain or Mitt Romney, but there was genuine enthusiasm for Donald Trump in this room and among the thousands of people who were in the exhibition hall just on the other side of this arena. In fact, I wandered through the exhibition hall this morning, talked to a lot of very interesting folks, and asked them if they were prepared to vote for Donald Trump, particularly given what he said about gun rights in the past. Here's what they told me.
I'm hoping he'll evolve.
Oh, I think he's going to take care of us. I think we're in good hands with him.
He'll come around if not. I mean, I think he will. And he knows what it is, what we need to do to protect ourselves and our country. So I can't imagine him voting it, you know. We'll come after him, right, if he doesn't.
I love listening to Linda there, that last woman saying, well, come after him if he does it. I mean, people are serious about their belief in the Second Amendment and their right to bear arms in this country. And if Donald Trump were to run afoul of their beliefs, he would certainly hear about it. But at the moment, seems to be a big kumbaya moment here in Louisville with Donald Trump getting people up on their feet, cheering for him. Massive standing ovation at the end of his speech here tonight. And a real indication, Harris, that people who looked at Donald Trump's candidacy, and this people on the Republican side, and said he'll never be able to make it as a candidate, and then he'll never be able to win the general election. We're seeing a massive shift in public opinion here. Donald Trump is becoming much more popular among some of the constituencies that people never thought that he'd be able to win over. So if he can win over the NRA this early, given what he said in the past, I think that you could throw your expectations game out the window, Harris, because it's being changed every day here in this campaign.
Yeah, you know, it is really interesting. He said that, you know, my poll numbers with men are through the roof, but I love women more than men. Come on. And then people started to cheer. The one most rousing moment, though, of cheering that I saw, and even some emotional moments, were when he asked for a standing ovation for the men and women in blue. I'm going to stop there with you just to get your thoughts on how people, you know, reacted to that more universal, nonpartisan concept of recognizing those in the audience.
Threat for our lives.
And Donald Trump really does have the support of law enforcement, the support of military. It's an issue that, I mean, obviously George Bush was big friends with the military and law enforcement, did a lot of events honoring them. But Donald Trump has got a special connection to the military and to law enforcement. And at every opportunity, he stands up and he recognizes them, and he gets a standing ovation and so much appreciation in return. You mentioned women, and a moment that I thought was very interesting in this speech, Hillary, is when he took the gun control debate and tried to turn it against Hillary Clinton on women, saying that Hillary Clinton wants to take away a woman's right to protect herself. That's brand new. That's something we haven't heard before. Donald Trump clearly still has a problem with women. A lot of women say that they won't vote for him, but he is trying to turn that around.
Step in.
And we'll see if he can do it.
We'll be right back in a moment. Thank you, John.